So as far as I'm concerned, this is not a budget. This is a weapon of mass destruction against the poor people. I don't think we still have a Minister of Finance, but I think we now have a Minister of Taxation.
Professor Mthuli Ncube has come under attack from Professor Gift Mugano. You know, Professor Gift Mugano used to work in the government and he was later relieved of his duties. And he has labeled Mthuli Ncube to be a tax minister. A tax that. But let us listen to this man who is campaigning to become a Prime Minister of Canada. What he said about when you see the government taxing and the issue of inflation, what is it because? The issue is because the government is overspending. Let us listen to that and then we listen to Professor Gift Mugano. First, let's hear this man talking about the issue of inflation.
Yes.
What are the steps that need to be taken to fix the damages done to inflation?
First and foremost, stop the overspending. Inflation, high taxes, deficits, high interest rates are all symptoms. The disease is overspending. When governments spend too much money, there's only three ways to get it. One is to raise your taxes. The other is to borrow, which means that they'll tax you more later on. And the third way is to print money. Now, printing money seems like a painless way to pay for things, but it's very simple. If you have 10 apples and $10 in the economy, it's a bucket apple. If you double the number of dollars in the economy to 20, you still only have 10 apples. You're not twice as rich, it's just that each apple costs twice as much. And that is a tax on the working people because it chews up the purchasing power of your paycheck, only to pay for excessive government spending, and it balloons the asset values of the billionaires. So it's a real transfer from the have-nots to the have-yots. Inflation is the worst and most immoral tax. It always results from government creating cash. Our government has created about $700 billion of cash in the last 3 years. So we used to have $1.8 trillion of bills, coins, and bank deposits. That was about 3-4 years ago. Now it's up to 2.5 trillion. So that's extra cash, but the economy has only grown by 4%. So the real things in the economy have only grown by 4%. The cash has grown by 40%. So the money supply is growing 10 times faster than the stuff money buys, which creates a bidding war, and that's what's driving up inflation. We have to cap government spending with a dollar-for-dollar law that requires my ministers find $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending, so that they go into their departments, find the waste and mismanagement. They want to spend more here, they have to spend less there, or get a bargain here and there to bring both under budget. Then and only then will we stop the money printing, borrowing, and over-taxation and wrestle inflation to the...
Now, I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Because these are still proposals and they will need to be tabled and then they will be agreed and that budget will be passed. So the question is, these taxes that are being proposed, what do you think it is the problem? And I've seen some of Varakashi labeling to the minister that they are not applying what they said in 2018. You remember, he said that we're going to put austerity measures. 2% tax. But it seems like the austerity measures are not working. The government is still overspending. And this is what people are complaining. If you talk of austerity measures, put them. Maybe there was need for them to remove the cabinet and not a whole lot of things that they could do in order to cut the government spending. Like what this man has said, that if the government keeps on spending much, the next thing that they will do is to tax more the citizens. But this is what it is. This is Zimbabwe for you. What are you going to do about these taxes? And what do you think about the taxes that Mthuli Ncube has introduced? Recently, I saw a post by Zenzele Ndebele saying that KFC atokwiza ma price varototi tax iri kuuya tinenge tiri pama 1.
Okay, thank you. So as far as I'm concerned, this is not a budget. This is a weapon of mass destruction against the poor people. I don't think we still have a Minister of Finance, but I think we now have a Minister of Taxation. We have seen in this budget that the minister has gone extra mile to continue to knock on the door of the poor. You see the taxes on fast foods. Who is going to the fast foods? It's us and the poor people when they try to have some life and try to put aside the stresses of this world. They go to fast food. The tax is waiting for them. It is the poor who goes into the shops to buy some stuff, and they come across a 20% tax on paper bags. It is the poor who are betting, try to earn a living. Maybe they can win some games and get some money. They are being taxed again. The challenge I have with this budget is that the Minister of Finance is not focusing on growing the cake. He is putting his efforts on every cent he can pound his hands on. And it's unfortunate. Remember, the tragedy which we have is that we have an informal sector which is growing at a rapid rate. If I want to use informal employment as an index, as a proxy for informal sector size, Zimstad's figure as of December 2023, I have not seen recent figures. We are now at 87.7% in terms of total population employed in the informal sector. We have just increased from 76% in 2020 to 87.7%. And that sector has become a stubborn and a security threat